So Tim, this is the manager. At what point did you start thinking, I want to become a boss?
When I was a player, I never ever thought I'd ever be a manager. Didn't want to get into coaching. I was put off so much by bad managers what I had previously as a player. So I never come into my mind really whether to be. And then I got invited back as a coach at Tottenham with Harry Redknapp. And then I gradually warmed to the side of leading and making my own decisions, and decided I wanted to have a go, and that's what's brought me here today. But now I realise all them times when I thought all them guys and managers were very bad, I realise how difficult their job actually was.
Given you were a captain though, that might surprise a few people.
Yeah, but I just put so much time and effort into being a footballer, and it takes up so much of your life that I thought I would just have an easy life after that and just retire with my feet up. But unfortunately I can't sit still, and I just love the buzz of being involved in professional football, and it's a natural progression. You know, I was a pundit for a couple of years. That's good, it keeps you involved, but there's nothing like being there on a day-to-day basis and nitty-gritty of actually developing players and trying to win football matches, which is what we're in the game for.
So, you know, that moment when you sort of came around to the idea of becoming a football manager, you know, was that a moment on the training pitch, or, you know, a visit to a club?
No, I was working at Tottenham as a development coach, and they decided to change their manager, and they needed someone to step into the seat. I wasn't prepared to do it on an interim basis, so I pretty much pushed it back onto Daniel Levy, the chairman at Tottenham, and said to him, if you want me, you've got to give me it for a longer period of time. He gave me the contract for a longer period of time, not the job.
So that's interesting. You didn't think about becoming a football manager until you got offered that chance?
No. Well, I did think about it, yeah, and I knew that was a route I wanted to go into, but I didn't actively apply for any jobs, and you almost need this. I think if you think about this job too much, you won't take it. You know, there's too much going on. I think you need to be pushed into a situation that I certainly was pushed.
What preparation did you do? Did you visit clubs, speak to other managers?
Yeah, you speak to other managers. You learn good and bad from each other, and you obviously I've got my memory of managers I've had previously. They wasn't all bad. There were some very good ones, and you take the good bits from a lot of them, and you take the bad bits and make sure it never happens to your career. So you patch it all together, and hopefully you become more rounded as a person and as a manager.
What are the essentials to be a good manager for you?
I think you have to be decisive in your decision making, and I think it's important that you're not there just to keep everyone happy. You've got a decision to make, and that decision isn't personal towards any individual. It's just what is the best for the football club. And I always tell the players quite straight, you know, there's only 11 players who can play on a Saturday, and my decision will be made what's in the best interest of the football club, and not them as individuals, and certainly not just on my benefit.
So honesty, a big part of building a relationship.
I think so. I think it's players. As a player, I only wanted managers who were going to be honest with me. As many times I went into their office and asked them why I wasn't playing, and they give me some real long stories, and really basically all they had to say is that I think that the guy who's playing in front of you is better situated to play in front of you this week, and that's all I wanted to hear. And if he had a reason for that, then fine. If not, then I know he's only doing his job.
What else then? What else is key to building that rapport?
Organisation, I think, is good. You know, make sure you're organised when you go onto the training field. Depends if you're an observer as a manager or whether you're a coach. I think there's different types. I like to coach. I like to be hands-on. I've got a good support team with me, which I think is vital. And everyone knows how I want to work, and we're all singing from the same sheet. So, organisation is vital.
How important is your captain in your role now as manager?
Yeah, I mean, he's your link. He's a link from the dressing room to the coaching staff. I want him to be opinionated. I want him to come to me and with any queries what he might have, whether it's match related or training related or anything that goes in and around the football club. I think that is a crucial part of it.
How different are some of the personalities in a football team? Because you look at a team, you've got 11 players out there, you've got the rest of the squad. Not everyone can be the same, like any kind of workplace.
No, I think as a manager, it's important that you adapt to them individuals. I think I've seen managers before thinking that every individual should adapt to them. I don't think that's the correct way. I think you have to adapt. You're different, certainly with the different nationalities around the Premier League at the moment. It's really important that you get to know these guys personally, not only professionally.
For most people in football, the Premier League, biggest in the world, best in the world.
Yeah.
How do you deal with the expectation from the fans, the pressure?
If you believe that what you're doing is correct, you can only do your best, as long as your preparation's right. The team selection is down to you, and if you've got your support team and you're being backed by people above, then you got no excuse. If you're not doing the job, which is to win football matches, if you get sacked, it's unfortunate, but that's the nature of this business.
What's it like when you have thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of people chanting your name as a manager? What does that feeling feel like?
Depends what they're saying about you.
No, good chanting.
Oh, good chanting, yeah. It's good. I mean, but you realise that you're only a couple of weeks away from them not liking you. You know, this is a very fickle business, football, and quite rightly so. You know, them fans pay a lot of money to come and watch, and they demand the best from their team. And the only thing I can say to certainly the teams I've managed is that I give everything. You know, I live this managerial game. I don't just come in here, clock in, and I forget about it when I'm driving home. It occupies my mind 24/7 because I want the best for myself and the football club and for them fans.
Do you like that pressure though, really?
I do. Perversely, I like the pressure of being a football manager. Yeah, my life would be a lot easier without being a manager. Don't get me wrong, but you know, we get paid very well to do a job which we love, and you have to take them pressures, unfortunately.
You won the title a couple of decades ago with Blackburn. How do you think the role of manager has changed in that time in the Premier League?
Not a great deal. Not a great deal. I think Kenny Dalglish was my manager at Blackburn at that time. I think he could still do a good job in the Premier League now.
What do you think makes a good manager all round? If you had to put it into a few words.
I think personality is crucial. You need to be organised, as I said previously, and you need to be able to deliver your methods, and certainly as a coach. But I think the charisma and personality is two crucial components there to being a good manager.
Before we sat down, I know you were in the training ground before 8 a.m. Can you give us an insight into the hours you do? I mean, it's obviously not 9 to 5, but how many hours do you think you do in a week, and what's it like? What's your schedule?
Like I say, mentally, I'm never away from the football club. But actual time being here, it varies. You know, like I say, I like to get in 7:30, 8 o'clock, just prepare the session. You're never off the phone really as a manager when you leave the training ground. You're constantly on the phone to agents or players or people within the club. I am the vocal point of this football club as being a manager, but I enjoy that responsibility, and long may it continue.
How vital are your backroom staff to what you do? It's not just you, is it? I mean, there's a collection of people.
It's only me when we win. If we don't, then it's down to the rest of them. No, it's important that you build the right team in and around you. You know, there's a lot of players here. You know, a lot of people we have to look after. So, from your sports science team, your physios, doctors, for the coaching team, you know, it's important that you have a rapport with them and they get on the same page as you as quickly as possible, because you're all going to send out the correct message. I took a guy called Seamus Brady, Irish guy from Tottenham. He worked with me on the development phase for a number of years. He's been with me now in total of 8 years, so he knows exactly what I want, how I see football, and he sits next to me watching games, writing down different comments. He actually works as a fantastic scout for me, because we've got a lot of scouts at the football club. And he can sieve out the good and bad, really. I mean, they show him a player, say, for instance, a right back. He would tell them in 2 seconds whether I would like that player, if he was the mould of what I'm looking for. Then he can help sieve it out. He's got many roles here. I brought in Ray Wilkins because he's got a lot of experience in the Premier League. He's worked with a lot of good managers at a high level, brings that winning mentality, which has been missing here. Mark Robson, who's a guy who's a coach I've known from the development phase, very thorough in his work. London boy. We all seem to be London boys coming in, but we know how to work together. So it's a good cop, bad cop in some situations, but we've got a good blend. Tony Parks has worked with me, a goalkeeping coach. He's the best out there in my opinion, and I managed to prize him away from Norwich. He worked with me at Tottenham. And when they decided they needed to bring their own goalkeeping coach in, Tony wasn't out of work very long, almost days before someone else took him in, and he worked with Norwich, done successfully well there, and this was a too good an opportunity for him to turn down, so he come into here. I've also got Kevin McDonald, who was the first team coach for me last season. His role, his expertise really comes within the development phase. He has brought a lot of players through this club many years ago. And I wanted to get back to that. I felt that it was sleeping for some time, this academy, looking from afar, and it needs to get back to producing young talent. And I think Kevin will help that. He knows exactly how I want to work because he worked with me last season, and he's going to send that message down to the academy coaches. So hopefully we're all singing from the same hymn sheet.
In an ideal world, you would pick every member of your backroom staff.
Yeah.
Can it be a challenge when you have to work with others that have been brought in by a previous boss?
Yeah, I haven't brought all of them in. I mean, the clubs now don't want to make wholesale changes to their staff when they change their manager. Roy Hodgson, for instance, will go in alone, and it makes him more desirable for a lot of clubs because they haven't got to bring in an entourage of 6 or 7. So I understand why Roy does it. He does a lot himself. There's different ways to look at it, but if you have a preference, I will bring in your own people.
What's the most challenging game you've been involved in as a manager? If you had to pick just one game that was a real test.
I think the FA Cup final last season, leading out a team at Wembley and a great club like Aston Villa was a great moment, but that was the only thing I can look back on and say that was a good part of that day. The whole, probably majority of the country wanted the underdog to win. We knew we would have to be at our best to beat Arsenal, and we needed to meet Arsenal on an off day. Unfortunately, both of them didn't happen. We wasn't at our best, and Arsenal was, and they gave us a lesson, and it was very disappointing. I'm going to have to live with that. There's a couple of hundred teams who wanted to be in the FA Cup final, but it's not enough for me just to have been there. Some people were saying, well, at least you got there, but we lost. We lost dramatically, and it's something what really put a dampener on the whole season, which was in the end a decent job done when we come into the football club, because we had one foot in the Championship, needed to do a job to keep us safe. We managed to achieve that and have 2 appearances at Wembley. One appearance against Liverpool was very good, and the one against Arsenal we all want to forget, but it's important as a manager you don't forget it, you learn from that, and hopefully we can get there again next season.
What do you feel is your finest moment as a manager so far?
Finest manager. I don't think I had it yet. At the moment, I think that just to win football matches, the euphoria of just winning a single game is fantastic, because the English Premier League is such a tough league that it really is so hard to win a football match. And just when that final whistle goes every single week, it is a relief that you've got the points on the board and you're moving in the correct direction.
So you get the same out of every game. It doesn't matter, if it's getting to the final.
Yeah, listen, obviously the game, semi-final at Wembley against Liverpool, we were the underdogs and we played very well on a day and we deserved to go through to the final. That was a great day out, because you allow a lot of your fans to come along to Wembley, which they haven't been for many years, and have a good day out.
Who's the best player you've worked with so far as a boss?
They're all very different, all got their own pros and cons in different areas of actual on the field player. There's many. It would be unfair for me to select just one.
Okay. How satisfying is it when you discover a young talent, somebody like Jack Grealish, for example?
Yeah, I've come back to football in a development phase capacity at Tottenham, and that was my role, was to nurture young players through. So I understand what an opportunity is. and how to bring them players through. And it certainly is a satisfying thing to move them up the levels from youth team to 21 football, then possibly a loan move, and then to see them actually come back to your club and play and be very successful. I think it's the lifeblood of every team to have a successful academy, and the fans like their homegrown players more than any.
Do you feel that your experience has been helped by working in a slightly lower profile role as a youth coach before taking on a big Premier League job?
Yeah, it gives you a more rounded development into the art of football, and certainly at a club like Aston Villa, where the academy is so important, and I will never overlook a youth player. I wouldn't bring anyone in who wasn't a lot better than what we already had in our academy.
How different is coaching to leading, being a manager? Because not every manager is out there doing the sessions, are they, every day, training-wise?
No, you almost have to play two roles. I wouldn't coach every day. I don't think it's right for them to hear the manager's voice every day, but 80% of the time I'm out there. I'm out there all of the time, but 80% I'm actually coaching. So I think you have more impact if it's certain days when it's your day, and then you leave it to your support team, which I've got a good one here.
What are the differences between handling a young player and a seasoned professional, a regular in the first team?
The regular in the first team probably thinks he's arrived and mentally he's probably switched off a little bit more. I think if you've nurtured a player from a very young age, you try and teach them to never lose the where they come from. But unfortunately the money now these days is very difficult for the boys to keep their feet on the floor. If you've had them since a very young age at the academy, it's easier to do that.
So what are the kind of motivational tools you use here at Villa or in general as a manager so far in your time? How do you get the best out of your players?
No, just to get to know them. I think personally, if you get to know them personally off the field, then I think it's easier to manage them on it. And you know what they like, what they want to hear, whether they need a cuddle, whether they need a kick up their backside. Every player's different, and everyone needs to be treated differently at different times.
What's the best advice you could give to a young up-and-coming manager?
Just try and enjoy it. It's almost impossible to say that, but this is it's a precarious job. You never know what's around the corner, and it can bite you on the backside at any time. Football, just don't be complacent. Just always be focused on the next game, because the next game is the most important, and don't let the outside influences deter you any decisions you need to make.
How easy is it to build a close-knit community as a boss at a club?
Not easy, because now with social media as well, there's outside influences all the time in the ears of the players and the staff and the support team. You just got to do your best you can while you've got them in your club. I can only affect what they do when they're actually here, for the time they're here. When they step outside that car park there, they have to look after themselves. They have a certain amount of responsibility to look after themselves and know that they need to do the right thing by this football club.
Greatest manager of all time, in your opinion?
Sir Alex Ferguson.
I'm going to say why, but I mean it's perhaps obvious.
Well, obviously what he's won, but not only that. He built 3 different teams there at Manchester United over a number of decades, and in the meantime brought a few young players through into their academy, which haven't been too bad either.
He's kind of a guy that a lot of people look up to, managers, isn't he? Why is that? Why is he so close to the younger managers?
I think he quite likes to be a mentor. Why would, if anyone's trying to seek information and a bit of help from you, why would you not give it back? And I think he's very open to that. His record speaks for itself. And I say, from my point of view, the reason I like him so much is that it hasn't necessarily been throwing money at it all the time. He has built teams, through academies, certainly at Manchester United over the period when Beckham, Scholes and Nevilles, they all come through. They wasn't all superstars. They wasn't born as superstars. He developed them into them guys, and he must take a lot of credit for that.
Who's your favourite manager that you've played for?
a lot of them have been good, good in different ways, because they've helped me learn as to now wanting to be a manager. I would have to say that when you win something, then it has to stick in your mind. So Kenny Dalglish at that time, 94-95 season when we won the Premier League, he was our manager at that time, and in a short space of time he turned us from a Championship side into a Premier League champions, and I would probably say that'll never be done again.
Yeah, and you still think, of course, you just said that Kenny could still be a manager. What was he like to work under?
No, he was good, because he had a good relationship off the field with him. It's like I try and have with my players. You knew him personally, he knew you, but you knew when game time come around that he was the boss, and that's exactly what I tried to mirror.
Who do you admire from outside of the world of football management? Who is a leader that you think, yeah, you've got it? Business, politics, perhaps.
I think if we go back to 2002, Sam Torrance captained the Ryder Cup team to victory at the Belfry, which is a local club to us here. I think he would be someone I would admire greatly, because he led with total emotion. He left nothing out there. You see the tears, when they actually lifted that trophy. He was in the minds of them players, and they wanted to win for him because they knew how much it meant to him.
Final question. What does the future hold for you? What are your aspirations?
Just to stay in the job as long as possible. I think that anyone looks beyond each season would be wrong. I want to take this club in the right direction, and I think that is achievable.
Nice one. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Tim. Cheers.